Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, safe alternatives to a credit card. Let's see what this is all about. There are 5 potential issues seniors may face while using credit cards. The first is scams and fraud. Seniors may be more susceptible to scams and fraud, particularly if they are not familiar with technology or the internet. The second is difficulty managing finances. Some seniors may have difficulty managing their finances, which could lead to overspending and falling into debt. The third reason is higher risk of identity theft. Seniors may be at a higher risk of identity theft due to their personal information being more easily accessible. And the fourth reason is limited income. Some seniors may have limited income, which could make it difficult for them to make repayment to credit cards. And the fifth and last is difficulty understanding credit card terms and conditions. Seniors may have more difficulty understanding the terms and conditions of credit cards, which could lead to confusion and mistakes. To help protect older adults in these issues, it is recommended that they keep their personal information safe, monitor their credit reports on a regular basis, and be cautious of unsolicited offers for requests of personal information. It is also important for older adults to have a clear understanding of credit card terms and conditions before applying and using a credit card. Because we live in a cashless society, seniors often resort to debit cards. This can lead to disastrous consequences with fraud and theft. Let me explain the difference between a debit card and a credit card. Because we really live in a cashless society, the banks have created what we call a debit card. This allows you access to your own money in the bank. You can get it through an electronic transaction. Therefore, it is your money you're using at the grocery store. So if Mr. Smith goes to the grocery store, he puts his debit card down and buys $200 worth of groceries. The amount in his bank now is $0. If he goes to buy $250 worth of groceries, he can't do that because he doesn't have $250 in his account. So it is a cash transaction that occurs from your bank to the grocery store, but it's cashless. And because of this, there is no fee to debit cards, there is no contract you sign with the bank, and the debit cards are available to anyone, even if they have a horrible credit history and a very poor financial situation. Anyone can get a debit card because it simply offers you access to the money that you have in your existing account. Now we'll talk about credit cards in a moment, but we should now discuss the appropriate use of a debit card because this is a very important issue. Because the debit card is essentially giving cash out of your account, it's a cash transaction, there is no protection for you. It's just like if you were walking down the street and someone stole your wallet with $200 in it, then you wouldn't have $200 anymore. So there's no protection. If someone steals your PIN number or your debit card number, they are simply going to empty your bank account out of your cash. And the bank is not going to compensate you for that. First, you should not use them to purchase gas. Gas skimming machines that are put on credit card devices on the gas dispensing machines are highly vulnerable to fraud. A recent report this week showed that investigators are seeing more credit card skimmers. They can steal your banking information, credit or debit card numbers. Thieves plant all sorts of credit card skimmers, including businesses, gas stations, and in grocery stores. Recent reports showed UPS workers arrested in a $1.3 million credit card fraud and identity scheme involving skimming. Costco found 5 credit card skimmers in the Chicago area warehouses. Skimmers have been around for a long time, but thieves are getting smarter. In the old days, these machines were often very recognizable. In other words, they fit on top of a regular credit card machine, and they look exactly the same. You couldn't tell the difference. So they can be put on outside ATM terminals that your bank has. They can be put in Costco warehouses. The important thing to know, they are almost impossible to detect. So you need to be protected. And protection doesn't come by using your debit card, because there is no protection with a debit card. If you are going to use this for a gas station purchase, go inside the store where there is control over the ATM machine and pay for it with a clerk at the desk. You should not use your debit card for any internet purchases. Keep it completely away from the internet and any online transaction. I'll talk about something better to use in a moment, but keep it away from the internet. There's a high degree of fraud, and you don't want your number compromised, because remember, it's cash out of your account and you're not going to get it back. So be very careful with that. Likewise, you should not use your debit card for purchases for travel. Remember, it's like prepaying with cash. Once you pay that out, you have no recourse to get it back again. So if you buy a cruise and the cruise ship goes under, not sinking, I mean, but if they go bankrupt, then you're not going to get your money back. If you're traveling around the world and the airline company goes bankrupt, and this has happened a lot in the last few years, then you'll be stuck in some foreign country that you have to try and return yourself. So please don't use your debit card for any travel arrangements. Consider it a cash transaction. If you aren't comfortable with paying with cash, don't use your debit card. Senior citizens may be at higher risk of falling into debt due to a fixed income, decreased earning potential, and increased medical expenses. Additionally, some may be taken advantage of by predatory lending practices, or may even not fully understand the terms and fees associated with credit card use. It is important for seniors to manage their finances carefully and seek assistance if they are struggling with debt. This week, the National Council on Aging published a report. There is a retirement crisis for millions of older adults because of growing credit card debt. Thanks to soaring inflation and mounting costs of food, housing, utilities, and more, retirees now outspend their annual income by more than $4,000 and are compensating with that for credit card debt. With few options to bridge the gap, many older adults have little choice but to use their credit cards to finance this debt. In fact, Forbes recently reported that 41% of households headed by someone between the ages of 65 and 74 carry credit card debt, up from 27% in 1989. So it's important for you to remember that unlike a debit card where you're using your own money, with a credit card, you are using someone else's money. In other words, you're using credit. Because of that, you have to sign a contract with a company. In other words, you're going to be signing on the dotted line to agree to the terms of that contract. Now, most people who sign that form don't actually read the contract, but it usually is 30, 40 pages long. Out of all those pages in the contract, they all are in favor of the credit card company. You would not believe all the terms and conditions that we agree to. But there is one paragraph in all those contracts that works in your favor, and that is fraud protection. And that is the key issue between using a credit card and a debit card. Using a credit card, you are protected against fraud, and that is a big feature. And that's why for online secure transactions, a credit card is the preferred method. But I'm going to show you something that works just as well, and you won't have to get a credit card. Let me explain how this works. So if you do not have a credit card and you're worried about using your debit card as for an online transaction, let me talk about two alternatives for you. The first is a prepaid card. You can purchase these at any grocery store, usually gas station, or in Canada we have them as well. These are called prepaid cards, and they're made either by Visa or MasterCard. You can pick these up usually right at the till when you're checking out buying your groceries. So what are these cards? Well, these are prepaid cards that you can purchase. Now, the cost of these cards varies from $2 to usually they're under $10. And that's the administrative fee of setting the cards up. And then when you check out, the teller will ask you, how much do you want to put on the card? And there you can take your debit card and you do a transaction from your debit card and it loads the prepaid card. So there is no link between the prepaid card and your debit card. In fact, there's no identifier on these cards. These cards have no names or any identifier to your personal information. So you then take this home and you can use this now wherever credit cards are used. So remember, if you put $200 on the card, that's all you have. Now, when you go back next week to buy more groceries, if you have more shopping to do, you can just add further $200 or $300 onto the card, and there is no cost to that. So there is a cost initially to purchase the card, which is the administrative setup fee. Now, there's one other fee associated with these cards, is there is a monthly charge of usually 2% of the balance on the card. So this is not a lot of money if you're going to use the card on a short-term basis, which I would recommend. These cards are not meant for you to load a bunch of money on and leave them for 2 or 3 years, because that 2% each month is going to chew away at the balance. But if in October, if you're looking at buying some Christmas gifts and things like that, then you can simply purchase the card, load it up each time you go grocery shopping, and then do some online purchases with total protection. There's no link between any information on that card. In fact, the MasterCard or Visa, whoever sponsors the card, has no idea who you are. It's a cash transaction to load that at the till when you're checking out from the grocery store. The second card that is a great card that I've used for many years is the Amazon gift cards. So who doesn't shop at Amazon? The Amazon gift cards are a great way to do online shopping. Again, you purchase these in the grocery store usually, and you can take them to the till when you're checking out, and you'll just, you could pay for them with a credit card if you want, but you could use a debit card as well. And then you take your gift card home with you, and it acts just like a credit card, but it only works with Amazon. There's no fees to purchase it, and there are no monthly fees. So it's you can just take the card and apply it onto your Amazon account. This is a very secure way of doing online transactions on Amazon. And again, there's no identifying number that relates you to your debit card or any personal information. Just two options that you have if you're worried about using your debit card for online transactions. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, alternatives to a credit card. Hopefully this video will help you stay safe when doing your internet purchases. We'd sure appreciate the like and subscribe, and until we see you again, have a great day.
Tech for Seniors present the website of the week with Hewie Poplock.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Website of the week number 17. I'm Hewie Poplock. Squoosh, the ultimate image compression tool. If you snap photos with your phone, the photos are usually a very large file. A 12 megapixel camera will produce a 3.6 megabyte file. A 22 megapixel picture will produce a 6.6 megabyte file. Next time you need to compress an image, you don't have to open an image editor and do it yourself. Instead, try Squoosh, which offers a simple web interface for reducing the size of images. This is Squoosh. It is an app, so all of the processing is done on your computer, not in the cloud. Let's take a look. They have some samples here that you can use, but we're going to use a picture that I took. Here's how they explain what it is. Smaller images mean faster load times. Squoosh can reduce the file size and maintain a high quality. For instance, they can reduce a 1.4 megabyte picture to 80K. It's simple. You open your image, inspect the differences, and then save instantly. Feeling adventurous? Adjust the settings for even smaller files. and secure, worried about privacy. Images never leave your device, and Squoosh does all the work locally. And that's it for their website. So let's take a look at a picture, and let's just slide it on here. This is a 6.22 megabyte picture. You're seeing the actual picture on the left, and on the right is whatever setting we have. So right now we have it to we can resize it. So let's resize it, and let's resize it down to 25% of what it is now. Because right now what it is approximately 4,000 by 3,000. So now we're going to get it down to 1,100 by 864. That's going to reduce it by 98%. And let's go ahead and click the arrow here. And it just downloaded the file. Now let's take a look, the difference between the file, the original, and the new file. But let's really look at the picture by opening it, and there it is. So that's the new picture, reduced. It's down to 1152 by 864. It's only 120K, and the original picture, let's open it, is 4,600 by 3,456, and it is 5.93 megabytes. So if we make these side by side, so you can see down here the size is 1152 by 864. Down here is 4608 by 3456. This one is almost 6 megabytes, and this one is 120K. When you look at them both side by side, there's not a whole bunch of difference. Nice and clear and usable. Very quick, very easy. So let's do that one more time so you get the idea. You just drop the image onto the interface and it opens up the editor. We'll do this and we open it. You'll notice that it's a huge picture, and so what we need to do is adjust it on the screen so the whole thing fits. There is the original picture. Let's move it up one more. There we go. That's the original picture. Now what we want to do is we want to edit it by resizing it. Let's go ahead and change this to 25%. Make it 1152 by 864. It's currently a little over 4,000 by 3,000. We're going to go ahead and compress it by just clicking the button here to download it at the same time. It's now downloaded, and if we move this back and forth, it's slightly different, but not a whole bunch. So you can see the two pictures side by side, and when we open up the reduced picture, it's now 1152 by 864, nice and clear, good picture, and we're ready to use it. So there's a menu on each side. You saw this one. And let you choose the form of compression on the image along with additional options depending upon your choice. The split editing setup allows you to leave the left side as the original, and while you make the changes on the right side as you work, your changes will update, and you can drag the middle line to preview how the image will work. So as we move it across, we can see it's just a little bit out of focus compared to the nice crisp of the original, but it's pretty good. The site will also show you the new size of your image as you make edits, plus the percentage change in size from the original. It's a sleek and useful place to downsize images without extra software. So we can change this as we want. So let's say we want it 50% by 2300 by 1700. And we can take a look. It's a little clearer. And we can change things over here if we wanted to. But this is 6.26 megabytes. And over here, we're at 95% of the original, 317K, because we increased the size from 25 to 50. There's an install button. If you click the install button, you can install an app that runs within your browser. It's not going to install a program. It's going to install it with the browser, and you're able to do this directly from your browser. So it's just another choice, but I prefer just to do it using the online screen. Squish! This has been Website of the Week number 17. I'm Hewie Poplock. Squish, the ultimate image compression tool.
The tax season is almost upon us. Remember that the IRS won't text you and some other tax scams to avoid. Unfortunately, every year, thousands of people fall victim to unlawful scammers. And while it's a year-round problem, we see a lot during the holidays, and then it peaks around tax season. Know all the warning signs and tricks used by hackers so you have a safe tax season. No one wants to deal with the Internal Revenue Service, but don't let that fear get you into trouble with scammers. Here are a few of the most common IRS tax scams. Tips to help you spot one and more details to help you stay safe. My thanks to Corey Gunther of Review Geek for his article and the inspiration for this video. Please read his article at the link listed. As always, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and get involved. As stated, the IRS won't text you. One of the most common scams is an IRS text message. Text scams are an ongoing problem that comes in various forms. And while the IRS has an exhaustive list of scams and fraud to avoid, texts are a big one. The text message mentioning tax and the IRS is a scam. These are known as smishing or phishing scams, where criminals send a text and try to get you to click on a link or divulge important personal information. If you get an IRS text message, do not click any links, call any phone numbers, and never share personal or financial information. I recommend instantly blocking the number, although that rarely helps these days. I would also recommend deleting that text. Let's take a closer look at how the IRS will contact you. Almost all contact with taxpayers goes through the regular U.S. Postal Service mail delivery system. You'll get a letter, not a text or a call. It's worth noting that while most IRS contact is through the mail, there are some instances where they'll call you, come to your home, or visit a business. These situations are rare and typically happen when you have a largely overdue tax bill, or a delinquent tax return, or unfilled returns, or delinquent employment payments. Occasionally, the IRS will visit a business during an audit or investigation. However, it's important to note that in almost every scenario, you'll get a letter in the mail first. You should always be careful with calls, emails, and more. More people are hesitant when it comes to shady tax messages, which is why scammers are starting to get more sophisticated. They'll try phone calls and emails, or even create a fake website that looks just like the IRS government website to trick victims. Now that you know how the IRS will contact you, pay attention to other methods. If you're getting phone calls or emails, threatening or not, they're likely a scam. This is especially true if you've yet to receive anything in the mail. The IRS will issue countless letters first, before ever resorting to phone calls. And while it sounds harsh, use some common sense. Many scammers will claim to work for the IRS and say you owe back taxes, misfiled, or have a balance and owe a penalty fee. While this happens, you'll get notified by mail. If you do get a phone call from someone claiming to work for the IRS and wants you to pay in gift cards, that should be an obvious red flag. What is the government going to do with a gift card? Nothing. That's a scam. Stay away from IRS phone calls, emails, voicemails, reaching out on social media, or anyone asking for financial information over the phone. You should never give out your debit card, credit card, or banking details. The IRS won't ask for it on the phone either. Even if you're getting threatening calls or voicemails saying you'll go to jail, lose your driver's license, or lose your home, the IRS must follow the Taxpayer Bill of Rights, allowing you to appeal the case. You'll never randomly get a threatening phone call or text. You'll also want to be mindful of tax charity phone calls, where someone claims if you donate to a good cause, it'll be a write-off. These do exist, but random calls about them are a red flag. Last but not least, if you've already fallen victim to a scam, you'll likely be a target for recovery scams, where someone claims they can help. If you've been scammed, reach out to a physical business where you live and don't deal with a stranger over the phone. And here's how you should report IRS scams. In the unfortunate event that you get scammed, or even if you didn't fall for it, you should report all IRS scams to the proper channels. There are several ways to do this, depending on the situation. For one, report all tax scams to the IRS and file a complaint with the FTC. You can forward emails or send suspicious phone numbers to an IRS email, which is phishing@irs.gov. And while most text and call scams spoof numbers, it's still worth submitting them to the proper authorities. Then submit information to the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration on its website, or by calling TGTA at 1-800-366-4484. This tutorial only touches on a few of the many different situations, scams, and fraud that takes place these days. Thankfully, the IRS puts together a dirty dozen report on tax scams each year, and you can learn more from those reports at the link listed. Use caution and common sense above all. If you use a tax preparer and he or she refuses to sign the tax return, grab your tax papers and find a reputable preparer. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.